Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us or a good idea for a leather element, drop it in the comment box below. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So common shot patterns. I mulled this video over for so long because I felt like it was a weak subject. Then I pick up a project, I look for my common patterns. Here's what I'm talking about. Straps or billets or gussets or recurring decoration that we can use on multiple projects. We're saving a lot of time. But also, if I know I only have to make this once, I'm going to take extra time with my measurements. Now adapt this information to your level or type of projects. But I hope it's going to save some time and make your projects spot on gorgeous. We've got some great samples, so let's look at these. In my opinion, we should start with the more common shot patterns, say gussets or billets, but this makes the point better than anything in my shop. These are war belts. These come from the armor. So back in the day, highly decorative. This was a sign of someone's station. They could afford this level of belt. But the point here, a lot of bling on this. Now, I tend to think less is more. We'll talk about that. But what I'm going to do is take a piece of poster board and let's work on this because we can erase. We can move things around. If we don't like it, let's toss it, make another one. We're literally out nothing. But the point is, I know I only have to make one of these. So therefore, I can drop in my conchos. I can drop in all my marks on the inside. So depending on wherever I'm starting, I can drop this in, mark, scoot, and mark. Major amount of time saved there, but I know everything is accurate. Now, like I said, less is more. We can always make blanks. If we just want to drop in, say, a simple line of spots, we can make a blank. We can add spots to our edge, center. We can really bunch those up. But also, additional belts that, again, have recurring decoration. All we have to do is make this once, and we're on our way. Now, we've got one more pertaining to decoration. Let's step it up, take a look at that. While planning this video, the common patterns just started to jump out of the woodwork. But this is a good point. So right here, that's a pattern for a simple belt pouch. Well, the problem is if I'm going to add my decoration to this, every time I make this pouch again, I've got to make a brand new pattern. I know this pattern works. I've used it. Everything works for me. So therefore, let's just do a mix and match. I've got a pile of designs, and I can even create my designs from my designs. So therefore, I can lay that in. In fact, there's the piece with the feathers. There's a piece with a simple tribal design. In fact, we'll see this again. But the point is, I don't have to keep making my patterns over and over. And again, on that same point, right here, there it is, I love the Spanish basket weave. And we've used this on a number of projects. But right here is simply a big pile, different lengths, widths. I've even got curves in here. So yet again, I don't have to sit down on every project and measure each one of these out. I can pull them from my stock patterns. Now, when we jump over here, we're back to the armor, but it makes the best point. Here's a pick. So on this, I'm going to use this design on 20 different panels. It's got to be exact. I need exactly 1 1/4 inch between each because I'm going to overlap stamps. I'm going to overlap a rope stamp. So I need that to be accurate. Well, let's just take our time on this piece. Now on every panel I pull out, I simply cut out my window, drop this in over it, and I know it is consistent each and every time. Same with tooling patterns. I love the Morning Glory design. So therefore, with a master here, I can drop this on all manner of projects. Basically, we're saving time, but at the same time, if we've got a pattern, we know it works, let's keep using that pattern. Okay, let's step over to what I would consider some more mundane common shot patterns, but just as helpful. This is really the core of the common shot patterns. Smaller pieces and parts that we don't want to have to keep making again and again. Right here, gussets. I've got all manner of sizes and shapes of gussets. I make a bunch of laptop bags or purse, briefcase, bag. So therefore, I've got common sizes. I've used them. I know they're accurate. In fact, that's for saddlebags, for a bottom on a saddlebag. Now on cuffs. All manner of wrist sizes, lengths, but also widths for our decoration. In fact, this isn't even all of my cuff patterns, but it makes the point. Now on belt loops. So right here is a small dagger frog. So my belt's going to slide through here. My pattern ready to go because I know when I use this pattern, that's going to be consistent across. Same with our belt loops on the back of a pouch. Again, I want that consistent. I don't want one a little longer and one a little bit shorter. Now, I didn't put a lot of explanation into this, but this is a rapier carrier. And if you think of, say, the Three Musketeers, flamboyant sword carriers. But I'm going to use either 6, 8, or 9 billet sets on every one of these. The point is, when I rivet this in, I need every one of these straps to line up. I can't have one a little bit off. So if I'm using the same pattern for each, it's going to be consistent each and every time. Okay, so we've got a feel for this. Let's jump over. We've got one more we talked about, but let's add a little bit more explanation. We've seen this before, but I've not really gone into great explanation on this. We'll describe this completely. But the point here is this. We can always make a pattern for belt sizing. In fact, that's a medium 33 to 40 inch. But if we're trying to hit a specific belt size or waist size, this is going to be a big help. And you'll be amazed at how easy this is to line up and how accurate it is every time. So, I think part of the confusion here is this. We don't need to have an actual length here. We could actually cut this in half because we're going to use this side and then we're going to use this side. So, how this works. So, I've got a red line on my second hole. That's where I want, say, I'm 35. I want my buckle to land right there. I can come in a little bit and I can go out a little bit. On this end, my red line runs right through my oblong. Okay, here's how this works. So right here it says waist size plus 9.5 inches. Well, that 9.5, all that is the distance from my red line out and from my red line out combined. So that probably is going to make a little bit more sense. So I'm a 35. I'm going to add 9.5 inches. So 44.5 inches will be my blank length. So when I get that cut, I'm going to scoot to one end. I'll make these marks. I'm going to scoot to the other end and make these marks. Okay, for dimensions here, I typically like 2.5 to 3 inches from my last hole to my tip, because if somebody's on that last hole, I still want that tongue to be able to get through my buckle and into the keeper. So therefore, 2.5, actually 3 inches is a better distance there. I've got 5 holes here, 1 1/4 inch spread on each hole. I don't really want to go 6, and here's why. If someone is landing, their buckle's landing right on our red line, that means we've got about 8 inches of extra tongue on that belt. It's going to look terrible. It's going to flap around. On this end, I've got a 1 1/4 inch spread between my rivet holes. So therefore, when I drop in a keeper, I can still get my setter onto those rivets. Gives that keeper a little extra room. Now, industry rule of thumb, 1.5 inch strap, 1.5 inch oblong. But I tend to like to go a little bit longer than that, and here's why. Notice how much metal is wrapping around that buckle bar. So when I load this, bend that back, I want that to have a smooth movement all the way around. I don't want it to bind. So therefore, if we add a little extra room to that oblong, it's going to fit nicely. So right there, I'm going to go with a 2.5 inch spread for my oblong. Drop in, we can go with a 1.5 inch if that's what we have. But I'm going to drop that in and maybe step it 1 more 1/4 inch. Just get a little more oblong in there. Okay, so hopefully that'll clear up the confusion on the shorty blank. Now over here, say we want to add an O-ring, like for a long belt, very period. I've got my 4 holes, so when we bend back, I don't think the camera will see that, but those holes are going to line up perfectly every time. If we're going to splice 2 straps together, I simply measure out one side and I can use that for the top and the bottom, and again, those holes are going to match perfectly. So I hope that's good information without going a little bit too far. But common shop patterns, big help to us in our shop. First off, for accuracy. But secondly, the mundane parts are done. Let's concentrate on the fun part of the project. And that's exactly right. Let's enjoy the time in our shop. And if we do, our projects are going to reflect that. I hope this is good information for you. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.